Hey there, Simon here from Splitboard HQ, just checking in with a quick video under the lens of sort of beginner, intermediate splitboarders about things to consider putting in your pack. So it's going to depend a lot on the length of day, how far from the road, how cold it is and all that kind of thing. First up, you need a pack to put everything in. So I would say 35 litres or so is a minimum size for a day pack. That's exactly the size of this. What I find is with this, if it's a really cold day, I run out of space to put multiple extra jackets in, so I tend to use a bigger bag on those days. First things first, safety gear that we always have is our shovel and our probe. Another thing to think about safety wise, first aid kit. I'm not going to go through what's in it. Bring what you're comfortable using, but things to stop bleeds, deal with broken things, and I also have fire lighting stuff in here as well, so some kind of fire lighter and then and flame as well, which really helps. So we'll chuck that in the bottom because hopefully we don't need it. In here and in here and in here, I have repair stuff. So these are just the out-of-the-box ones from Spark and Karakoram. I ride with a lot of different people, a lot of different bindings. You'll see these are unopened at the moment, which is a good thing, but I've definitely used a bunch of stuff out of these. And then in here, I've just got a bunch of like spare screws and tools and duct tape and everything in there. So hopefully, again, we don't want to use that too much, so I'm going to put that in the bottom. Next thing that I always carry is a signaling device. Here in the Rockies, we're almost always out of cell service. So an inReach or a Spot or something like that, because that can greatly reduce your response time if you do have an incident. So I have that fairly handy just in case I need it. Another quick part of my first aid kit is just a pocket mask for CPR. Hopefully you don't have to use it, but bring that along just in case. Sunglasses and goggles are an important one. Sunglasses, usually we just stick them on our head. But goggles, one of the things we see people do a lot of is they have them on their helmet on the outside of their pack. And then if they fall, or if it snows, or if it's really humid, their goggles fog up. So I tend to just take a buff or something and wrap it, and then just put that in the pack as well. Another thing I'll carry with a bigger group or when it's particularly cold is this. It's just a group shelter. This is for 4 to 6 people. It's basically a tent with no poles. If you put 4 people in this, even if it's -20 out, you actually generate a ton of heat in it. So it's a really good thing just for having lunch in, or if you have an emergency, it's a really cool thing to think about. And I have this in my backpack for the most part. Most times I go out. Pocket tool, okay, so this just has all the screwdrivers and Allen keys and all that sort of thing in it. I actually just have that in my pocket, along with a snow scraper as well, especially for splitboarders. We often get snowballing up in our bindings and things like that. So this is really handy to have, not buried at the bottom of your backpack, but just handy in your pocket, so when you do transitions you can access it if you need it. It was really warm today, probably not as warm as it needs to be to use this, but I just have skin wax in my bag all the time. It really sucks. If you've experienced it, you know how much it sucks to have like snow balling up on your skins. That can even be from just stepping in like a not frozen creek. You get water on your skins and it balls up, or really wet snow. So I have that. Spare pair of gloves. These are pretty small ones, but a spare pair of gloves. Short days still at this time of year, so I have a flashlight in there as well, just in case. And these things kind of live in there all the time. An extra jacket, so a nice compact, like it packs down pretty small, but it's nice and warm, and it's big enough that it fits most people. So this is a large, even though I wear a medium. So it's something that if there's a larger person in the group, it's able to fit them, and smaller people, well, they just have extra material, so it's fine. I have another warm buff, a spare toque as well, or a beanie, spare one of those. It's remarkable how quickly people get cold if they do injure themselves, so having that extra gear is really important. This is the end of our day, so this is a pretty miserly looking lunch, but food is an important one not to forget, because yeah, if you don't eat, it's really hard to fuel your day, and it tends not to end so well. Decision making suffers from it. Water bottle, okay. A litre is probably the minimum you're going to take for a big day. I tend to drink a litre on the way to where we're touring, and then I take a litre with me, and then I'm usually pretty thirsty by the end of the day, to be fair. This isn't for everyone. Not everyone wants to ride with a helmet. I do 80–90% of the time. Either you're going to need to have a much bigger pack than this, or you need something with like a helmet sleeve on it so that it's easy to store on the outside. Ideally, you don't want it clipped on and like flapping around. Try and store it in a helmet sleeve like that, or have a big enough pack that you can store it inside. This one, like for my water and skins and such, has these handy dandy hip pockets, which is really nice. You fit quite a lot of volume in there. Last thing really is ski straps. So these are good. You can use these to fix bindings. If you have to boot pack, because split boards don't have brakes on them like skis, they don't want to stay together. So it often is hard to carry them if they're in ski mode. A couple of these you can just quickly sort of bind them together, and it makes carrying them a lot easier. I have a saw here also, which is something to consider if you're going out and digging pits and that. I don't tend to carry this all the time. It's usually if I have a specific goal in mind. But yeah, that's another thing to think about. So that's it. That's just a bunch of things to consider. You're going to pare it down to work for you, and it is going to depend on the length of the day, how cold it is and all that kind of thing. But hopefully there's a few tidbits you can take away and improve what's in your pack. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you've got any questions, put them in the comments below and check us out at splitboardhq.com.